And that's why I was very elated when I saw Darjeeling की लड़की rank 52 and she is a Bengal topper of UPSC, so you might be aware of her achievement. It's a really great achievement, and I would like to thank उसके parents को भी with the dedication, the hard work और belief जो होता है ना बच्चों में, उनके parents में definitely था, so that she could achieve this remarkable feat. So this she should be inspiration for all of you, I think, in the years to come, क्योंकि दार्जिलिंग ने रियली इतना हाई अचीवमेंट कभी देखा नहीं है हिस्ट्री में. एंड आप जितने बच्चे यहाँ पे आए हैं, आई थिंक यू कैन लुक अप टू हर. एंड व्हेन आई वाज टॉकिंग टू हर चेंबर में, यू विल नॉट बिलीव शी हैज नॉट डन एनी कोचिंग. लोगों को लगता है कि दिल्ली जाएंगे, कलकत्ता जाएंगे, सिलीगुड़ी जाएंगे एंड वहाँ पे जाके कोचिंग मिल पाएगी. But she has achieved all these things, great things, without coaching. She has done the online जो मटेरियल मिलते हैं एजुकेशन के, उसके थ्रू ही. And I always believe, मैं हमेशा हर जगह बोला है, internet is the biggest equalizer that the mankind has ever produced till now. And internet के कारण you can see sitting here without any coaching, she could crack, and that's a remarkable rank 52 in UPSC. It's a very difficult task. So I'm not waste time, क्योंकि इतने सारे बच्चे हैं, they would expect something valuable piece of advice or words from her mouth. So I would directly ask her कि please go on and enlighten the kids over here. And I'm really happy. I'm very happy that she has made Darjeeling proud. Thank you.
So I'd like to thank Sir for this felicitation ceremony. It's a huge honor to be given this token of appreciation. And while I was talking to Sir, I was touched by what a great person he is. And honestly speaking, if I knew him earlier, I think I would have quoted him in one of my ethics paper as well as an example. But having said that, I would like to thank you all also for being here and for giving me an opportunity to share my experiences. What I've realized in this process while I was preparing for this exam is that up until now, I have not been given a complete platform where I have been able to do justice to my actual preparation journey. So, if I'd like to give a very comprehensive speech on how I actually prepared, because I'm sure that there are a lot of doubts with respect to how could I do it while sitting at home, and how is that even possible. So, I would like to clear all of those doubts today. But before I begin with the preparation journey, the first thing I would like to say is that please do not have this low self-confidence that you cannot do this exam. This exam is, see, a lot of people say that this is a very difficult exam. But I would say instead of using the word difficult, the word I would use is that it's a very competitive exam. And it is a competition that makes it difficult. It is not that this is a very technical exam. Because there are so many people giving this exam, it's the competition that makes it difficult. But if you simply just look at the papers by itself, then you will find that if you prepare well, you will be able to clear it. The only thing that is necessary is a little bit of consistency, not a little bit, a lot of consistency and a lot of hard work, which I will get into in more detail. That is the first thing. Now, starting with my own journey and how did I start my UPSC preparation. So, first of all, before I even begin, I would have to start with my grandfather. It was my grandfather, late Mr. P.N. Pradhan. It was his dream to see me clear UPSC. And I had this dream for a very long time, since school itself. And this is where the seeds of this dream was sown in me. After this, of course, I did law, and law was also very important for me in helping me realize that this is what I actually wanted to pursue. I eventually started my preparation after college. I started my preparation around January 2021. So, I would like to say that there are a few basic tenets that you have to keep in mind when you're preparing for an exam like this. And not just UPSC, but also the BCS or any other competitive exams that you may see. There are a few basic tenets that you have to keep in mind. And I would like to break these points down to 5 major points, 5 major things that you must do in order to clear competitive exams? The first thing you need to have is you need to have very limited sources. Extremely limited. I will give you my sources in a bit, and you will realize how limited I really was in the sources that I was referring. That is one. Secondly, you need to have maximum revision. Use very limited sources, but revise that again and again and again. That is the second one. Then the third one is you need to be up to date with current affairs. I will come to the source of current affairs also. Then the fourth aspect is you need to practice a lot. Practice is the key to clear any exam, including UPSC. And finally, when it comes to the last point, practice what? You have to practice PYQs, previous year papers. Previous year papers is indispensable in exams like this. So starting with the limited sources. So I'm sure all of you must be quite surprised, and there have been questions also. How did you study by yourself? So I would like to say these are the basic sources that I followed. And like Sir mentioned, that internet is also a big equalizer today. So these are the sources that I followed. So for history, Sir, if I may be permitted to give it in detail. Yes. So if you look at history, for instance, history, I used NCRTs. NCRTs class 6 and class 7. I know you might be saying class 6, 7 for UPSC. No. That is the base. So I did study ancient and medieval history, class 6, 7, and class 12, part 1, part 2, ancient medieval history. That is one. The second is for modern history. I refer to Spectrum. It is a very small book. It's a very comprehensive book. That is enough. For art and culture, a lot of people talk about Nitin Singhania. It's a very bulky book. I personally did not refer to Nitin Singhania because it was very bulky. What I did instead is I went online and I just checked for summaries of Nitin Singhania. There is a very good video by Unacademy. It is a 5-hour marathon session. 5-hour marathon session. There are 2 parts to it. One is 5 hours, one is 3 hours long. It summarizes the entire book. It just gives you the main pointers. So I made notes out of that, and that is all I did for art and culture. For other aspects, ancient and medieval, there is also the one other book I would like to mention. There is this Lucent. Just refer to the first 20 pages of that book, which deals with art and culture and ancient and medieval history. That is more than enough. That is history, and those are the sources. For geography, again, I did NCRTs, class 11 and 12. That is it. Some people also do GC Leong. I do not do GC Leong, but I just did NCRTs, class 11 and 12. For polity, N. Lakshmikant is the Bible. So if you do N. Lakshmikant, that is more than enough. I'll come to international relations and governance because those are covered by current affairs. Then we come to the third part, which is economics. Now, economics is one subject that requires understanding. So it is not a subject where you can just read. So here I did refer to Mrunal Sir. Mrunal Sir is an excellent economics teacher. There are videos of him available online on YouTube. You can look through those videos as well for understanding. And class 11 economy NCRT book. So those are the things I did. For economics, if you have a teacher who can help you understand, or if you have a base in economics, that will be very helpful for you. For science and technology, again, just the basics from class 6 to class 10 and class 12 biology, certain parts, certain subjects, certain chapters of class 12. I made a small and short concise course of it, and that's all. And for environment, I refer to Shankar IAS Environment. It's a very small book, that is more than enough. So those were my main sources, and if you look at my sources, you will see that they are very limited and they are very basic sources. Some of them are NCRTs. But these are the sources that are revised over and over and over again. And this is the reason why I'm here and why I do not really need a lot of coaching or something like that. Now, on the aspect of coaching, I would also like to say that if you feel that you have the resources to go to Delhi and all that, you can go ahead and do that. But if you can also do self-study in Darjeeling itself. What is required if you are going to stay here? What is required in order to do self-study is you need the environment to study, right? In your home, if you are studying, you need a particular room for study. And I was very lucky in that sense because I had a separate room. I had my bedroom and I had a study room. And when I used to go to the study room, nobody would disturb me. So that room was really important for me, and this is the reason why I could stay in Delhi because I had that environment. I was talking to a few people from a few toppers, and they told me that sometimes you won't have that environment at your home. So in that case, what you can do is you can go to the library. I think a library has also been opened. There are now various libraries in Darjeeling also. And this library culture is very much prevalent in cities, is what I've seen. It's not very much prevalent here. But it is high time that libraries start, they get utilized the way it's supposed to be utilized in this day and age. So if you don't have a study environment at home, you can always study in those libraries. That will give you that environment. So that is one. So I dealt with the resources, the various limited resources that I use. And when I talk about maximum revision, what do I mean? So in this exam, you need to strategize very, very well. So you need to have a plan for everything. I will tell you, my plan was I will complete all of these subjects by December. By December, I should be done with all the subjects, and by January, I will start my revision. So by December, I made it a point that I would be done with all the subjects. How did I do this? Every week, I would give a test. Now, this is where mock tests become quite helpful. Now, when I say I do not take any coaching, what I mean is I do not take any classroom coaching. I do not go to Delhi, I do not spend lakhs of money, I do not do any classroom coaching like that. But there are certain mock tests that are available that you do not have to pay very much for, you can just give it. So I took some of those mock tests and I made sure that every week I would give a test to assess myself. And in that way, my entire subjects, so the entire subjects that I had was completed by December. From December, January to May is where you revise consistently. You revise over and over again. And again, I made plans. I remember I had taken 4 A4 sheets, and in those 4 A4 sheets, I had written January, February, March, April, and May, because May was the exam. And so these 5 months, I had made my own handwritten calendar, and then I had written per day what I would be doing, and in how many days would I be revising each subject. So the first revision, I gave around 1 week per subject. The second revision, I gave around 3 days per subject. The third revision, 2 days per subject, and by the time the final revision came, it was just 1 day per subject. And that is more than enough. So this is what I mean by maximum revision. You use those limited resources, you revise that to the maximum of your ability. That is the second part. Now the third aspect comes with respect to a current affairs, where you do current affairs from, and how do you read the news as a civil servant aspirant. I would say refer to one particular newspaper. You can either read the Hindu or the Indian Express. I think both are good. Indian Express has a lot more information, so you can also refer to Indian Express. But apart from that, you also have free material available online. You can refer to coaching's monthly compilation, which comes for free. You do not have to pay for it. I used to refer to Vision IAS monthly current affairs. So that would cover my current affairs bit, and that is it. And certain aspects of international relations, governments, etc. are covered by these compilations itself. So that is what you do for current affairs. Now the fourth thing I mentioned was practice. Practice is key in this exam. Whatever you need to do, if you have to clear this exam, you need to practice. So for this, what I suggest is that daily you can just go online and you can just for prelims. For instance, prelims is an objective exam, right? You have to mark the correct answer. So there are certain sites available online. Just go online, it's available for free. Just type static quizzes UPSC, Insights, Vision. They all have these. They upload about 5 questions per day online. So just attempt those questions and keep a fixed time. I used to do this. I used to keep a fixed time generally after dinner, because after dinner I would feel very lazy and sleepy. So I would attempt quizzes at that time. So I would say 5 questions from different coachings, free, available for free. And then I would analyze my performance. So every day I would do around 10 to 20 questions for prelims. So every day I'm practicing, right? And even for mains, if you can write maybe 2 answers per day, that is enough practice. And once you start your revision, once your December is over and once you start your revision, that is when you need to practice more. From January, you need to be very much focused on prelims itself. Because if you look at prelims, it has become extremely challenging. Last year when I did it, I thought the paper was very difficult. And I almost thought that I would not make it this time. And it was only because my father was there. My father was there and he told me that, you know what, I really believe you. Just give the second paper, just give CSAT, no matter what happens in GS1, just give the second paper without any fear. And if he was not there, I think I would have lost my cool and maybe I would not have made it through prelims itself this year. So prelims has become extremely unpredictable. It has become very difficult, which makes it all the more important to practice more for prelims. Now, I would say, what do you need to practice? When I say previous year papers, you can intermix mock tests and previous year papers when you are writing prelims. Maybe, but I would say give more emphasis on previous year papers. For instance, for previous year papers, not just UPSC's previous year papers, but also UPSC conducts other exams also. If you know, UPSC conducts CTS, CAPF, other exams. So also go through those questions. They may seem very simple, but those are the basics. And these questions are sometimes repeated in the actual exam in a very twisted format, no doubt, but still. So please go through previous year questions and practice them. Once you clear prelims, when it comes to mains is all about answer writing. Because you have to write, I will tell you the mains how it happens. In GS paper 1, you have to write about 20 questions. And you have to write a total of 50 pages in one paper. Then the second paper, GS paper 2, again you have to write 50 pages. So in one day you have to write 100 pages. The next day the same thing repeats. So in Saturday and Sunday, you will be writing 200 pages. So you need a lot of stamina, you need a lot of practice. So for that, you have to practice daily answer writing. What I used to do, you may not believe me, but I used to practice a lot. I used to practice previous year questions. I just used to go online and used to look at the previous year papers, and I used to write answers to those. And I used to write around 40 to 50 pages per day because I knew I had to get into the habit of writing answers. So, and this is how I also ended up clearing mains, and this is how my notes were also made because I used to do answer writing so much. Then finally, and that is the previous year papers, and that is the practice part. I think I've covered prelims and mains also in this process. When it comes to the interview, now the interview process, you may have seen some of my videos as well, and you will notice that I'm not a perfect person, and nobody is. And no matter what happens, there will always be answers that you don't know the answers to. So please don't run after perfection in this exam. Not in prelims, not in mains, and not even in the interview. You will never be perfect. So don't hold yourself to that impossible standard, and it is okay to make mistakes. Everybody will be making mistakes. If you look at anyone, any rank, you look at them, even they will be making mistakes, and that is okay. Don't hold yourself to an impossible standard and do not have low self-confidence. After mains, the mains results were announced. That is the first time I went to Delhi for preparation in Delhi as such. And these mock interviews, they are conducted free of cost. So there is no payment there. So you just go there and you just give, and they are also very overjoyed when a person has cleared mains gives interviews there. So I just gave a couple of mock interviews, and I made a lot of friends. In interview, I made sure that I was interacting a lot. I made lots of friends. I was discussing things with them. And after the interview, I stayed in Delhi for a week or so. I came back very recently. And the results were announced just in April 16, just a few days ago. I am absolutely overjoyed, and this is how my entire process has been. I hope